30 Sekunden. Somit nochmal die Aufforderung an die Bahnarbeiter und die Helfer. Alle raus aus der Bahn. Please leave the track immediately. First pilot sled will start in a few moments.
Dass du morgen Pulli mitnehmen kannst, dass du am Sonntagmorgen mit dir
Also passt auf.
Ich stehe doch immer auf der Straße. Ja, nee, also...
Was war das zum Vorfall? Der Uhr lief hier rum und spielt die Leute. Das hast du ja gesagt. Habe ich mit ihm
Noch knapp 3 Minuten, dann und ein letzte Optimal darunter.
Vorfall gab es diese Woche, aber alles geklärt.
Started at the BMW IBSF Bob and Skeleton World Championships 2024, presented by Feldwins.
Welcome to a rather cold Winterberg for this second weekend of the BMW IBSF World Championships, and for the next 3 days it's all eyes on bobsleigh. Today and tomorrow it is the two-woman competition, and then tomorrow and Sunday you've got the four-man battle. It is cold, it is overcast, it's a far cry from the nice sunny weather that we've had for the last few days, but nonetheless it is going to be very dramatic indeed. David Anderson and Greg Cackett looking forward to this two-woman competition. And Greg, this course, it's kind of a track of two halves. It doesn't really kick in until about turn 9. Exactly that, David. For the brakeman in the back, you're essentially not feeling much from this point onwards. So from the start, this is the essential part. Winterberg's a bit like Innsbruck. It's a starter's track, so the faster you go here, the faster you finish, provided the pilot doesn't mess up at the top, because in these early corners it's quite a flat, sort of undulating sort of process. So we're going through here, we're looking to see all errors minimized. So coming out to sort of between 4 and 5, that's going to be a real danger zone there, and particularly this next corner 6, which as we see on the exit, I beg your pardon, this is 6 into Kreisel. Now we'll notice through there, if sleds are tapping, that will scrub speed. So Kreisel is our big looping corner here, taking us down into corner 8,
which sets us up for the second half of the track, the dreaded corner 9, which is a real tricky one to nail. We're going to watch them here, bypass corner 10, into corner 11, bringing us down to our lower labyrinth. We start hitting big speeds down here. We're going to see some wild rides out of corner 13 into our 14 finish curve, which is a bumpy affair for the brakeman as well. You get your skull rattled out of your helmet down there, and hopefully no victory rolls through the finish line, but keep your eyes peeled. It's been a pretty hairy week.
Yeah, I was going to say, we have had an awful lot of crashes over the last 3 days of training, but it is Lara Nolte who comes here as very much one of the favourites, victorious a week ago in Monobob. Didn't place last year in the World Championships. That was won in turn by Kalicki, who again is going to be there fighting, no doubt, to keep that title, and Lisa Buckwitz, who was the silver medalist in the World Championships last year, another one to watch. Now this, Elana Myers-Taylor, of course, is the lady that has the start record, and although she will go 7th, I expect he's going to be one that will move up the order. Andrea Greku, the Romanian, again, another one that you can anticipate to be there or thereabouts, just thinking her way through the course. Cynthia Appia for Canada, again, another very rapid pilot. And Kaysha Love for the USA, just to add into the mix as well. So it's going to be really competitive. They will go in their ranking order today, but then it's in the reversal tomorrow. You're sort of going to be building up to that top time. Katy Beierl also, you can anticipate to be in the mix. So in a few moments' time, we're going to be getting the sleds to the top of the course. The crowd has been building, and this is the order in which they will go. So Lara Nolte and Deborah Annen will go first, ahead of Kalicki, then Lisa Buckwitz, Melanie Hasler, Katy Beierl, and then it to go 6th will be Ching Ying, ahead of Elana Myers-Taylor, and then Andrea Greku. The crowd is getting ever noisier, and it kind of fits now. It feels more like a bobsleigh event, because the last few days of training, when the place has been almost empty, very surreal, having hardly any noise from the fans at all.
Yeah, it could be sometimes a little eerie at the top there, but I tell you what, WInterberg always brings great crowds. Remember on World Cup, it's a great crowd, but they brought up all the temporary standing areas. We're going to hear cowbells, we're going to hear so much noise. And for Lara getting us off, she's the hometown favourite, so hold on to your hats here. This is going to be a big start.
That start record, 5.43, set by Elana Myers-Taylor. The two-woman competition in the 2024 World Championships underway. And let's see what the start time is going to be. A 5.49 for Lara Nolte. That's going to be the target for everybody else.
Excellent getaway. So she's taken corner 0 fantastically there as well. We're going to look for people not sliding, not skidding out of that corner, out of the grooves. They need to maintain all their speed. And Lara, right now, is so far at the top here, keeping this quiet. Here's 4 to 5, beautiful. That's what we want to see. She's maintaining, she's continuing to build speed. There's a couple of corners here, even though it undulates, where you can pick up speed. You've got to do it right. Round corner 7, shoots out nicely into 8. This is what you'd expect of the hometown hero. Nice entrance into 9, threads the needle through to 11. She's putting on a WInterberg clinic here, because this lower labyrinth 12-13 into the finish curve. Now, David, that is about as good a run as you're going to see in this World Championships.
There you go. Class
track record, there we go.
Track record straight off, 55.93, fantastic. And that straight away throws down the gauntlet to the opposition, doesn't it? If that's your first of 4 runs and it's a new track record, that's an outstanding start to the competition. Oh,
beautiful start. And I've got to shout out Neela shooting in the coaches' box there, the coaches' box rather. One of Laura's other brakewomen. She's a phenomenal athlete. Debbie Levi has been out of the game. These guys are Olympic champions together, but she's been out with a serious injury. But she came back so strong in Altenburg a couple of weeks ago that she's got the nod here for the World Champs, and so far, a good choice.
And look at that. Millimetre perfect all the way down the run. And Lara Nolte understandably delighted with that.
That is throwing down the gauntlet.
Yeah. So now let us see what the opposition can do. Kalicki and Leona Fiebig will go next. Kalicki, the reigning world champion, 4th appearance. And that start time, 5.49, is the one to beat. They've got this 60-second period to trigger the clock over that 65-metre push. The clock starts at the 15-metre mark. And now Kalicki is ready to go. The push comes.
Leonie Fiebig as well on the back of the sled. She is probably up there with Debbie, the #1 push athlete in the German program. What's she going to push? 48. There you go. So we're talking about a major pushing talent here. Kim is not as strong as Lara Nolte in the push. So it just shows what a job Leonie's doing on the back of the sled there. But watch Kim's drive, this will be excellent.
But it's game on, isn't it? Because 100th quicker and then matching it, so they've dropped a little bit of time. That 100th has disappeared. Kim Kalicki has got to drive her socks off, coming down the hill now to try not to lose any more time and be able to temper that pace. Again, they're still tied to the 100th and that third split. This is fantastic to start the competition.
And she had that beautiful line through 6-7. She took the nice line to Kreisel. She's in green numbers now, so minimising mistakes at the top, this is what's going to be the difference here.
Another track record beckons potentially, because if Kim Kalicki is quicker than Lara Nolte, it stands to reason. Look at this, 400th up. It's going to be another course record. Let's see, out of the Zeal curve up towards the line. Is she going to go quicker? Yes! 55.89, a new track record. Wow!
I got a feeling this might be one after the other day, because we've got the German equipment. We all know the two-man equipment, the two-woman equipment here. These FES sleds are absolute zingers. They fly. And when you've got a start like that, when you've got a drive like that, these Germans are going to make it very difficult to get in the top three. It's going to be similar, I think, to the two-man last week.
Well, so much of that was done off the start, but then that run sort of ebbed and flowed. They lost a little bit of time and then brought it back in that second part of the run. Really impressive stuff.
But it's going to show just how important these starts are, because we've got a difference of there of 100th of a second, right? A 48 to a 49 pushed previously by Laura, and this is going to be the difference when you've got three fantastic pilots, three awesome athletes, because we're going to see Lisa Buckwitz and Vanessa Mark next. Now, talk about beastie athletes. Lisa Buckwitz on the front handle. She's got to be one of the number ones in the programme too. We're going to see something in the mid to low 40s here.
Olympic gold medalist, Lisa Buckwitz. Let's see what the start time is.
49.
Yeah, 100th dropped. Okay, not the end of the world. As we've seen, you can buy back some of that time, but it's pressure on now.
Absolutely, and Lisa is, she's got a lot of driving years behind her now, but she would be the less experienced of the pilots. She's an Olympic champion brakewoman behind Mariama Yemenka. So let's see what she's got in the tank here.
That start time equaling that of Lara Nolte, so by no means is it bad, it's just not as good as Kim Kalicki. And
no.
300ths down on that next split. This is ebbing away a little bit.
She's got number one speed, so let's see what she can do at the bottom of the track. We're going to go round 8, number one speed still, into corner 9. That's not a bad entrance. Can she thread it? Little late off there, little tap. These minor skids, these minor infractions are just going to hurt her here when it's so close, but she's finding speed.
She is. Tied
Third
on time
best.
through the Zeal curve. Where is this going to put her? Let's see, up towards the line. Second. 55.90, second fastest. Wow, what a start.
What a race we've got on our hands. What is that, 55.89, 55.90, 55.93? The German girls putting on an absolute Winterberg clinic. This is an incredible pushing. You know, a 48, a 49, 49. What a race we've got on our hands.
So the two-woman competition introduced to the World Championships back as recently in 2000, but it's delivering the goods, isn't it, here on this Friday afternoon at this rather cold Winterberg track. And next to go is going to be Melanie Hasler. Look at that, way up the wall, dramatic stuff. Melanie Hasler knows now she's got a fight on her hands.
Absolutely, and you can see there that's when corner 9 catches people out a lot. They're slightly too late off the exit and they can roll off. They can sometimes ride up corner 10. That can flip you. It's when you're moving at these speeds, it's a dangerous affair, Winterberg.
So Melanie Hasler, who began as a brakewoman, has Mara Morel behind. Fourth appearance in the World Championships for Melanie, fourth being her best, and focusing on the run down towards corner 0.
So we've got a couple of fantastic athletes here as well. Melly has been awesome on the handle this year. She's had some really good drives. She was disappointed with her mono performance last week. There's some weight stuff. She's going to put more weight in the sled, so that's hindering her at the start. But when she's got Mara behind her, all bets are off. Now that's not good. That's not good. Oh. Melanie.
Lost.
A 10th loss there. Now she is going to have to be inch perfect to its damage limitation now, David. So as we were saying there, the start is so important. And what was her getaway there? She
did a
5:58, so it's a good start. Anything in the 0.5s here is an excellent acquittal. So absolute damage limitation here now, Melly.
But a 10th dropped to Kim Kalicki, and look at that, it's nearly half a second drop down the hill, so it started off badly and it's just not coming good. Okay, we're getting into the second part of the run now, where that speed builds. This is where Melanie, as the driver, has got to come into her own.
Yeah, she's beautiful through there, threads that nicely into corner 11.
But 6/10ths down, and I can't see her really being able to recover. 7/10ths down, it's all unravelling, sadly, through the Zeal curve. This, I fear, is going to put her the slowest of the 4 thus far. It does, on a 56.68, and it all really went wrong off the start.
Yeah, and head coach Rico Peter there, you can see the disappointment. But they would have known. They'd have seen the skid out of the start grooves, the heavy take on to corner 0, it just disappears your speed. And when you're up against 3 FES sleds that have been pushed that fast and driven that well, it's always going to be a struggle. But it's not over for Melly right now. We'll see how the rest of the field stacks up. That is how advanced these German sleds are.
Now let's have another look at that start. Jump on board, and that's where it goes wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, big skid off one side to the other from a different angle. Just talk us through this.
So as you see, as Mara loads, now this could be anything here. Could be Melly not getting her hands on the D-rings quickly enough. That's how she steers, and it's just taken her offline. And then again, that's panic stations. It's damage limitation. How can she sort it out? Hang on, Melly. We'll see how it goes for everyone else.
Katy Beierl is next to go. Anna Schenk behind. And let's see what this start time is. Not great either. 5.67, fifth in that start time ranking.
So 5.67 getaway. I think anything we see in the 60s into the 50s today is going to be competitive. The German girls are really that far out at the moment. We'll see some of the Americans as well. We expect to be lower down there as well. Katy's had some major health issues. She had a stroke a couple of years ago, and so it's amazing to have her back at all. And she's an excellent driver, so we'll see how she brings this sled down for the Austrians.
Best appearance, 7th, which was in 2021. Anna Schenk behind, the professional dog walker, dog psychology student, her World Championship debut, and just over half a second down on the top time. 40.3 at that split, and they're heading up towards the exit now of the labyrinth, up towards the Zeal curve in a moment. 0.6 of a second down. This is the run up towards the line. Where is this going to put Katy Beierl? 4th.
She does. Just, but less than a 10th, so it would have been Katy that Melly would have been looking at there to see how the rest of the field is going to stack up against the Germans, because that mistake out of the start curve will just be holding her back there. So, but a good drive by Katy. You can see there were good lines. She was no real mistakes made. A pretty decent affair there. And Anna Schenk actually had an interesting experience this year. The men's 4-man team in Lillehammer were down. Sasha Stepan had a bad back. Anna Schenk stepped up. She's got herself a 4-man World Cup appearance this year. And did extremely well, I have to say.
Back to two-woman competition for this weekend as they take the sled away past the fans and then get taken back up to the top of the hill. And this is how we look at the moment, with Kim Kalicki by 100th of a second, the leader from Lisa Buckwitz, and Lara Nolte in 3rd. 4th, Katy Beierl. Melanie Hasler is 5th. And it is Ching Ying who is next to go. Her 5th World Championship appearance, 9th last year with Yu Wang as brakewoman again for this year. Her 2nd World Championship appearance. Ching Ying 15th in the Monobob competition last weekend, and we now know that it is a 5.48 to beat at the start. Let's see what this is going to be on the run to corner 0, 5.68. 2 tenths dropped already.
So a 68 push there, so we see that sort of stack up with Katy Beierl there. And again, it shows you how good the push was of Lea Haslauer as well, getting into the sub 0.6s. Now, the Chinese program has been great to see in recent years since the success of Beijing. I would say, it was a COVID Olympics. It was difficult, but as someone who was there and competing, it was still a hell of a games. It was a beautiful place to be, certainly for the bobsledders. We were in an amazing part of it. So seeing the Chinese program grow, it's run under the Latvian Janis Minins now, and they're doing a really good job with these guys. They're really improving.
A time in the 55s is what she's after here, but the last 2 have been in the 56s. It's looking good in the second part of the run, isn't it?
She's looking nice into the lower labyrinth here. She was beautiful out of 9 through to 11. It's not bad. 5th best speed, though. Is she going to get ahead of Melanie Hasler?
Let's see. 4th is the target. 6th, she ends up. 56.80, 56.8. 6th, and that means the slowest thus far.
Yeah, and there are all sorts of reasons for times to be a little slower on this track. Well, we're going to see how the track stacks up as the day continues as well, whether it speeds up or slows down. For these guys as well, sometimes it's quite intangible. They'll need to go through it with their coaches because it can be minor mistakes. But if you're pushing a 68, as you said, some of the velocity will be way back on what the Germans have produced, so you're always trying to find that again on a track like WInterberg, which is so notorious for killing speed at the top of the track. But overall, I think they were a pretty good run from Ying there.
We've been saying that it's more overcast today. It feels colder. Is that going to affect the track at all? Is that going to change how it feels for the drivers and the brakewoman?
It does change the feel of the track. So, and the hotter it gets as well, that's generally when they tend to crank the refrigeration up to keep the ice from melting, and that's when it gets frosty, sticky. That's when it slows down. Now, here's another big starter. So, will this one get under 0.5?
Well, this is your start record holder at WInterberg. Elana Myers-Taylor then, a former world champion. And the start time to beat is a 5.48. She's got the record at a 5.43. And this is a 5.54. 600s down.
Yeah, it'll be still an excellent getaway for these guys. Elana has come back in bombastic style for this World Champs. For her monobob pushing was absolutely extraordinary. She was way up there, close to the start record. And, you know, Elana has a lot on her plate. She's got 2 kids out with her on the season, and she absolutely dotes in them. And how she finds time to do all the women, she's a superwoman for sure. And Emily Renner has made a massive improvement this year as well. Her athletically, her pushing has just come on so strongly. And a 54 at this stage of their development, I think, is a great getaway. Watch Elana's driving here.
Yeah, Emily Renner, the brakewoman, started off in bobsleigh and initially complained of motion sickness. Got over that, and they're working well together here. 49.12 on that next split is the time to beat, and 49.55, 4 tenths down.
7 speed here, and we're seeing that. There's a late exit off the corner 9 there.
56.41, 4th quickest. So just over half a second down, 56.4, 4th fastest. They're still in the mix.
Still in the mix, yep, and I think again, she's going to want to be holding on to that 4th place now. Elana is an amazing driver. She's a super experienced, you know, seasoned veteran in the field, but her driving has just been, I think it's just got better and better over the last couple of years. But you can just see here out of corner 9, late height, bringing her down. That's not the fastest line out there. See, she's caught the end of corner 10, which has pushed her. She's kind of rocked her way through that little section there.
And it looks like nothing, unless it's in super slow-mo. But of course, that's hundreds, and all added together, you're heading to 10s, aren't you?
And it all matters, especially on this track.
Well, Andrea Greku, the Romanian in the BTC sled, is going to be the next to go. Started her bobsleigh career in 2011 and 5th in the European Championships this year. Teodora Andrea Vlad behind, her 3rd World Championship appearance, and the best that Andrea Greku has had in the World Championships is 8th. Now, let's see what she can do towards corner 0 then. Start completed, 5.48 is the target, 5.68 is the result there.
The 68, so we're getting a little cluster of athletes in the 60 mark. Now, Andrea in the monobob is one of the best pushing athletes in the world. Something's not quite clicking in the 2-man at the moment for them. Whether that's a push on the pilot handle, whether the brakeman still needs some work, but what she has been improving on is her drive. And WInterberg is essentially a home track for the Romanians.
True, indeed. Now, let's see, another half a second down.
Little tappy, little skiddy. See how these lines are just a little off. That's all going to be scrubbing time. So she's got 5th best speed at the moment.
And really, the battle is on for 4th. 7th best speed down there, so a little bit of time and speed scrubbed off. It looks a little bit high going through that next corner.
Yeah, nice through 9 into 11.
49.1 is the next target. It's going to be the wrong side of that. 49.8, so 7 tenths of a second down. Hemorrhaging time as the finish line beckons.
Ying and Melly just goes ahead of Melly.
Yeah.
Oh, dead heat.
56.68. So tied with Melanie Hasler. 56.68.
We were saying this last week as well, David. It's quite extraordinary. You think in an event like this, going over 1,600 meters of ice, that you can have 2 sleds that are nailed on the exact same time. And
so that's intent if not happy with that.
If you watch this, that's from corners 6 to 7. Those little taps, little skids, these are what we're talking about with minor infractions that to people who are new to watching the sport, you might think, why is their speed dropping so much? All these things stack up, all of them work to scrub speed when you're dealing with such fine margins.
Well, thumbs up from Andrea Greku.
Good job, guys.
There'll be more time to find. So we turn our attention next to Australia, to Bree Walker, a former 400-metre hurdler. There's a lot of her training in Germany. 2nd World Championship appearance, 14th is her result thus far. 4th in the monobob competition last weekend.
There should be another competitive push. David, Bree is a fantastic athlete. Kiara on the back of the sled. A gift runner from Australia. 5.58, so a good getaway for the girls. And she controls it nicely out of corner 0.
Yeah, Chiara Rodriguez is behind, the former heptathlete, high school relief teacher as well when she's not a brakewoman in bobsleigh. And 0.23 of a second down then on that 2nd split.
And Bree's having a nice top of the track here, 4 to 5. Yep, she deals with that nicely. No real skiers, no real errors here.
0.29 of a second down. This is pretty good compared to 1 or 2 that we've just had. So the target, I guess, is still going to be Melanie Hasler or Elana Myers-Taylor.
She's going to be gunning for Elana here.
Top 4. 3 tenths down, lost a bit more time.
Oh, she's just got pushed a little early to 11 there. They fly through this labyrinth into the final corner. 4th best speed. Is she going to get ahead of Elana? She does.
4th fastest.
300ths of a second, and Pierre Luders looking on, can appreciate that one. He knows that's a big result.
So 56.38 the time. 4th quickest, and that's a really good effort, starting, where was she, 9th in the order. So good run that by Bree Walker. Should be really pleased with that, because straight away that puts her in the competition, doesn't it?
I think that I should be exceptionally pleased with that. Again, all the athletes in this circuit know what you're up against when you're dealing with 3 German FES sleds on a German track. With the pushes they've got, with the athletes they've got, with the drivers they've got, it is a massive task. So for these girls to be with any sort of touching distance, I think they'll be really pleased. And you've got 4 heats to keep chopping away that advantage, chopping away. And Bree will be absolutely loving that.
The interesting thing, though, is...
You have a race, yes you do, Bree.
Interesting thing, in a sense, is just how close the top 3 are, 400s covering them. And then it's the best part of 4 10s before you get to Bree Walker. So 4th, yes, but it's almost dividing into 2 groups at the moment, as the next one to go is Cynthia Appia. Now let's see what she can do. Not a great start, a 10th down already.
560s, not a bad getaway for the girls. Again, Cynthia, another hell of a push athlete on the Monobob. Now, Cynthia's been a bit hot and cold this year with her drives. She's had some good results. She had some really good results last week on the Mono here, so she drives WInterberg well. And she's definitely one to watch the approach to Milan as well, because when you've got an athlete like her on the front handle, you know, all bets are off.
Former brakewoman who was overlooked for the Olympic team turned her attention to being the driver, came back with renewed enthusiasm for the sport. Best World Championship result, a 6th, and right now heading down half a second or so away from the absolute best. But let's see whether this is going to be good enough to get her into the top 6, coming down through the labyrinth, heading up towards the end of the run. The Zeal curve beckons, 0.6 of a second down. And where is this going to put Cynthia Appia? 7th.
Just gets ahead of Andrea there. So I think when we look back on these replays as well, you'll see just errors at the top of the track there. So a lot of little small errors, little skids, little movements, little kind of wobbly bits that aren't ideal for the top part of the track there. And that's why we were seeing 10th fastest speeds at the bottom.
So after all the training over the last few days, having to adapt now to a track that's, as I say, in slightly different conditions, more overcast today at WInterberg. That was the start.
Kicked a little bit out of the grooves. They see it's subtle. It's a subtle drift. But again, as bobsledders watching that, we see absolute cardinal sin.
So Kim Kalicki, it is. It's the quickest thus far from Lisa Buckwitz, and then Lara Nolte, Bree Walker 4th, Elana Myers-Taylor and Katy Beierl round out the top 6.
Now here comes a big start. We've got Kaysha Love, a UNLV alumnus with Azaria Hill, another University of Las Vegas alumnus. These guys, exceptional sprinters. I think both of them have an 11,300 meters. I'm sure Kaysha will correct me if I've got Azaria's wrong. But this is going to be a big push. Kaysha's new to driving. She was an exceptional brakewoman. I can't wait to see what they do here. This has got to be in the low 5s.
3rd last year as a brakewoman, and 400s down, 5.52. Good start.
That is absolutely in the mix. Now, Kaysha's driving this year. She has had gold medals in the mono. She is absolutely setting this alight to the point where it's raised her standards for herself so much this season. She's been feeling, you know, if something doesn't go, you know, so her top 6 in the mono last week almost felt disappointing to her. And you almost have to remind her, you're in your first year of driving. Come on. You got a top 6 on the mono. It was an incredible result. So anything she can do here, like her driving lines really don't show her lack of experience.
She was on target there. 4th, or she was until that skid. So let's see whether that's going to junk much time at the next split. It was looking good at the start of the run for Kaysha Love. This.
It's a little loose at the bottom, but sometimes loose can be fast. Tap there, coming to 14th, but she's got 10th best speed, so a lot of that speed has been scrubbed away. Is there enough in the tank? 4th place.
Fantastic effort that, despite that little bit of a skid, 56.37. That certainly brings her into the mix, doesn't it? We thought Bree Walker had done a good job, but Kaysha Love goes even better, 56.37 to be 4th quickest, 0.48 of a second down on Kim Kalicki, but there'll be a lot to celebrate there.
They'll be absolutely over the moon with that. And to echo Bree, just before she jumped out of shot earlier, we have a race. We have an absolute race on our hands here. Certainly the top 6 here, you know, for 4th to 6th, 7th, yeah, they're all going to be absolutely not wanting to drop a spot here. And hey, don't blink, because we got 300ths between them.
Is this more competitive than you were anticipating? Because
it's a lot more. I'm sweating more than I thought I was going to be.
Talking to people in the last couple of days, they've been saying, yeah, Lara Nolte's the one to beat. Well, she's 3rd, and you've got a lot more people there at the pointy end than perhaps anticipated. Victoria Chenanska is going to be the next one to go. 7th in the European Championships this year, 14th in last year's Worlds. 2nd World Championship appearance. Lucia Mokrasova behind as the brakewoman, and they are good to go.
Here we go. So this is the Vacuum team. It's another new programme. They're young athletes, learning their trade. See how she gets out the start curve here. Round 0 nicely. Now, Victoria's a really good driver. She had a lot of monobob experience. And she's, again, been pulling down some really good lines. The improvement for them will come from the start, when they start adding more velocity to the sled.
Sure. 12th in the start rankings, 12th in the rankings at the first split as well. So this is where, as the driver, Wiktoria Chenenska has got to come into her own now to try to find some of that lost time.
Definitely. And these lines are okay. Nice through 6 to 7.
It's consistent, but it's not getting any quicker. But now it should do, because this is where you start to plunge down the hill.
Ooh, tap before 9. It's going to push her in late. See that whip into corner 9 there. But she comes out of it nicely, threads through to 11. So again, when we see minor mistakes, you can see there's an athlete in the front seat who knows how to control the sled.
Look at that, over a second down.
But 5th best speed at the bottom.
Yeah.
So she has found speed.
And it puts her
Won't be
12th.
enough.
So it's the slowest, I'm afraid to say, 57.03. But at least it's lessons learned and the experience gained. They can take that away. They can take that as a positive, factor that in for the second run that comes later in the afternoon.
Absolutely. Then there's a lot of new athletes here who, and we saw it last week in the men's as well, who are going to be gaining so much from the experience. And whether you've got a few World Cup races in your back pocket, whether you've got a few ECs, NACs, all this sort of thing, World Champs, Olympic Games, it is always a step up. Even though you're competing week in, week out against essentially the same people, it still steps up a notch. You know, there's something different in major competitions. Something different comes out of the athletes. And when you're at the top level, some of the consistency those top athletes can find, these guys have got to learn it.
Yeah, big pressure for the World Championships then, as we get set now for Linda Wajcicki and Marika Zandecha behind. They were 8th together in the European Championships in Sigulda. Linda was 19th in the Monobob World last week. Now let's see what they can do here, because the time to beat remains at 55.89. I very much doubt they're going to be able to do that. But let's see, first of all, what that start time is going to be. 5.48 the target and a 5.68
hey,
what they do, and that's good.
That's a great getaway for these girls. Because they're in a similar situation to the Slovakian girls as well. New program, we're seeing with the Polish boys too. This is a resurgent program. These are young athletes doing their best. And hey, a sub 5.7 getaway in Winterberg is absolutely, that's no slouch at all. But we're going to see some inexperience in the drive here from Linda. But for these guys, we've got 2 years to go to Milan. It's exciting times. It's not bad. It's a little skiddy. So again, we're going to see speed not quite up there. So 11th best at the moment.
And in terms of times, 10th across the first 3
late
timing
into 9.
points. Yeah, late into 9, pushes them up a little bit high. And what does that do? Keeps them 10th. Again, wide and high there, look. Up towards the Zeal curver. So where is this going to put Linda Wajcicki then? This is the 13th sled down the run, and 12th is the answer, 56.86.
So she gets ahead of Wiktoria Chenenska. So she's not, so she's push rank 10th, dropped to 12th, so she's not driving the start down just yet, but this is what we're talking about. You know, they're new athletes. There is so much to learn in the sport, especially as a driver. I think about my guy, Brad Hall, you know, who's taken, 2 Olympic cycles, 8 years, 9 years to get to the level that he's at. You know, even for the athletes that show talent and promise, there's so much nuance to driving, there's so much feel, there's so much understanding, and yeah, anything these guys can get out is great. And the fact that they've got a good start, that is literally a great start.
Wiktoria Chenenska, the only one, if you like, outside the magic second at the moment. The top 12 covered by 0.97, but over a second off the top time is where you find Wiktoria Chenenska, and it is going to be the Belgian crew of Kelly van Petegem and Yannetti de Cler that will go next. Eurotech sled, Kelly van Petegem 18th in the Monobob Worlds last week, and second World Championship appearance, 11th back in 2020. She's been 3rd, though, in the Junior World Championships in the past, so has a reasonable strike rate at Winterberg. And let's see what the start is.
Hey, that's
Veski.
And that is going to spell disaster for the girls there. And it's a shame, because I was just about to say, I didn't want to, because I didn't want to put any commentary cursing anything, but Kelly is a really good driver. She's come into her own. She was a brakewoman for Anne van Nieuwenhuizen, who is now her coach. And I really noticed with Kelly in Altenburg a couple of weeks ago, watching the screens as she comes down. Altenburg is the most technical track in the world, and she has beautiful control. You can see there's somebody who understands how to control a sled in there, and she'll be gutted with that start.
13th in the start rankings, 14th for the remainder, and it's not looking great.
Yeah, so she's nice down through 9 to 11. These are the trickiest spots, so, and a 71 getaway was pretty good for them as well at this stage. A little late flop off. She's going to be safe around 14. She's good. Okay.
14th fastest there.
Yeah, you can just see
57.29.
there's Anne on the right. Coach, you'll know straight away.
So that's the slowest we've had thus far, sad to say, but we know why.
We know why. And
at the top of the hill.
That's really gutting that. You know, it's the first heat of 4, and she's going to be playing catch-up for the rest of it now. So she's going to have to reassess her goals, reassess the ambition for this weekend. And I'd say just 3 more consistent drives, because once she was going, you could see that she's a good driver. She's got it in the tank here, but watch, a little late getting in, and that's just kicked her right to left. Big hit before corner O, and any velocity they had in the start there is just gone.
It's like a ping pong, isn't it? It just sort of rattles you from side to side.
Yeah.
Each tap loses you time, and each time you tap the wall, it bounces you to another one.
And as we said, you know, at the top of the track here, you're not finding that speed. You're giving it away. You know, so, you know, time to bounce back, Kelly.
Bianca Ribi for Canada next to go. Former brakewoman. It is Niamh Hockey behind as the brakewoman this year. Grew up in Ireland, did Niamh, and the push handle is still up. 5.67.
And there's some real experience from Ribi there. She didn't panic. She didn't get the slip. She wouldn't have got the handle in as quickly as she wanted. There's a little catch underneath the nose there. She just waited, make sure she's happy, set and straight. Then she's got it in. So it's a good job. And the getaway is pretty good. You know, we're seeing a group of girls clustered in the late 60s there.
Yeah, 9th in the rankings for the start, but 13th at the first intermediate. Intermediate 2 puts her 12th. So now is Bianca Ribi being able to find some of that lost ground. Let's see. Heading down the hill out of the Kreisel and then towards the completion of the run, 10th. So yes, it is improving all the time through the sectors here for Bianca Ribi. Can she be in the top 10 at the end? Let's see. Up towards the finish out of the Zeal curve, a 10th must be the target now, and the answer to the question is 11.
Just outside.
56.69.
Just outside, and literally just outside. 100th back from Melly and Andrea, who had joint in 9th, yeah. So, and only another 100th to her compatriot Cynthia. So, a pretty good job there. I think when she has a good chance to look at the timesheets as well, she'll fancy herself for a top 10 here, and that's a great result. It'll probably be her best result of the season.
But a real yo-yo run if you look at the sectors. 9th, 13th, 12th, 10th, 10th, 11th. You know, it was up and down.
Yeah. Hey, that's WInterberg.
So there's a lot more to this than meets the eye, of course, as Greg has been saying, with
Definitely.
the nectar of the course and these tiny taps, tiny skids that can just hemorrhage time for you.
Yeah, and a big respect for Bianca there. Like I said, you know, she didn't get her handle in the first time. I imagine maybe she missed the catch, but she just stayed calm, let herself get straight. That's the most important thing, because she doesn't want to lose the speed, and she did it.
Well, there's your top 5. Kim Kalicki, Lisa Buckwitz, Lara Nolte, Kaysha Love, Bree Walker. The order at the moment as Melissa Lotholz and Alex Klein with her World Championship debut and next to go. Melissa's 5th World Championship appearance.
Now, this will be really interesting. Melanie Lotholz in her day was an excellent brakewoman. She's coming, she's in late. Another one who's waiting for the pilot. Well done, Melly. 2 Canadians on the bounce, absolutely handling the pilot handle in this lap. So, and a good getaway.
Well, 15th, 5.72, so it's okay, but 14th at the first intermediate. It's another of those runs that, as the speed builds down the hill, more time has got to be found, and it's going to be, I suspect, in that second half of the track where the time comes.
Definitely, she's got to keep herself honest through there. So 6 into 7 wasn't too bad. A little skiddy, a little bouncy. Nice out of 7 into 8. Doesn't get pushed away too much, so it's a decent entrance into 9. She should come out nicely here, and she does.
But she's heading, I'm afraid, for a place in the teens. 14th is the prediction at the moment. Nearly a full second down, lookers into the final curve. She comes, the Zeal curver up towards the line, and it is 14th fastest then for Melissa Lotholz, 56.96.
So we may be seeing speed coming out of the track now as well. So the track degrades as the runs go on, and we may be seeing that here, because that was pretty good from Melly. There wasn't anything too glaring, maybe some minor mistakes at the top. And as you say, with a 72 getaway, they're lacking in some speed there, but the Canadians are in such an interesting place at the moment, the whole program. Yeah. You know, with Justin Cripps stepping back, there was a bit of a void in the world-class field, and for the girls, they really are the shining beacon. They're the ones who are going to sort of bring this program back to the light. So Melly's going to be another really interesting athlete to watch.
And so too is this athlete, Deborah Annen, gold in the junior women's monobob at St. Moritz this year, 3rd in the 2 women in the junior world championships, and the daughter of Martin Annen, great bobslayer himself, very definitely one to watch. 13th last week in monobob. Uli Maria Leuenberger on her world championship debut is the brakewoman. And let's see where these relatively inexperienced Swiss are going to be. First target, of course, is a good start. 5.48 remains the target. Both jump on board, push handles are in, and a 5.78.
So 78 getaway for these young athletes. And you know what, when you're a young athlete in the Swiss program, you've got great opportunity. It's a program of management and coaches who have a storied history in the sport. You know, right now, Rico Peters, their head coach. Rico was famous for letting sleds fly and finding speed. You know, these guys understand bobsleigh, so hopefully for Deborah, the only way is up for her.
Well, she's 6/10 down. She's looking at being 15th, but again, experience building and being thrown into the World Championships is quite something. She's against far more experienced drivers. 8/10 down, but no disgrace. And let's see where this time is going to put her, as I say. Still learning about two women at this level.
13th best speed. I think she might be just over a second. Will she get in front of Chenanska?
14th. And
she does, and Lotholz.
And Lotholz too, you're quite right. So 14th, that's good, isn't it?
That's pretty good. You know what, that's a scalp as well, because Melly's a lot more experienced. She's been around a little longer. And off her 78 push, she's 16th ranked start, and she's driven herself to 14th. So at this stage of this young athlete's career, I think you can't say fairer than that.
Absolutely so. 56.93 the time then. Let's have another look at the start.
So a little tense, your hand just misses the bar there. So still some athletic coordination work. You see a coach, Chris Woolley, on the left there shouting in the background. A big part of the British program for many years, Chris Woolley, and he's done great things with the athletes in the Swiss program. Good job, Deborah.
Yeah, it was a good effort. And now the next is going to be Great Britain. Adele Nicolls and Kai Placide, two Welsh girls set to go. Part of Team Great Britain. Greg, it's all yours, really, at this point, because here are your teammates.
My compatriots, my teammates, my mates, I'm loath to say. Yeah, fine, Adele, we are friends, I suppose. The athletes from Welshpool. Adele asked me to give Welshpool a shout out. She's gone here, 6.2. Excellent getaway. Good job, girls. Kaya Placide she's 19. She's one of the youngest and most exciting talents the British program has, well, as far as I'm concerned, has ever had. And they need to look after this girl, because I think she's going to be exceptional. Now, Adele in the front seat, this is her first proper season in two women, and she's already at the World Champs. She's nowhere near as experienced as athletes in the field, and I think, well, I know she'll want a top 10. She'll want something serious here, but for me, look, fourth best speed going into Kreisel. This is pretty good, Adele.
I think we're looking at a top 10.
Late flop off there.
A prediction to be 7th, looking at the times.
That's going to push her late in 9. Just a couple of little mistakes, but she's nice through 9 to 11.
Kaya Placide, the brake woman, doesn't even drive on the road, so she calls herself the ultimate passenger princess. A little bit scrappy there, maybe, up the wall, but is this good enough for the top 10? Let's see where it's going to be. The
Come on, Adele.
7th fastest. Fantastic effort.
Excellent.
56.57.
And look at her, Ching.
Delighted. Look at that. The celebration start before they've even stopped.
Hey, Graham.
Mega.
Hey, come on, Adele. You've got 3 more runs to go. Let's calm it down. Oh, that's wonderful to see. She's had a hell of a season. She's done so well. 18th
in the rankings to start, 7th in the times. That is outstanding.
I tell you, I'm really excited. My mind's going a bit blank. I'm quite excited for her. My relationship with Adele is normally jokey mick-taking out of each other. So I'm trying my hardest to find the nice things to say, because she's just done amazingly.
Let me pass you a freshly gritted set of teeth.
Yes.
No wonder they're smiling from ear to ear. That was a really good effort.
Absolutely brilliant.
The French crew next, Margo Boch and Carla Seneschal. This is the 3rd World Championship appearance for Margo, 5th last year, as was Carla Seneschal, so the partnership renewed, and a 5.48. Now, again, you might expect something good out of these two, and you do. 5.66.
That's a great getaway.
400s down on Adele Nicolls, but this is good enough for a top 10.
Absolutely. Margo is a fantastic driver. She's a plan native. She's got plenty of runs on that track. She's been around a long time now for such a young athlete. She knows how to drive. And this partnership, her and Carla, is another joy to behold, because, you know, we love seeing the partnerships grow in the sport and seeing people keep improving. And these guys they keep getting better and better. They're flying the flag for France.
On the cusp of the top 10. 10th at the start, 11th in intermediate 1, up to 10th on that 2nd split, and at the 3rd we'll see now.
She took the tap that pushed her away, took her in late into 9, but this is okay. She's nicely threaded through to 11. Now she's going to have Adele in her sights. Is she going to catch her? 7100s. No, she's not.
Top
she
10.
finds speed at the bottom here.
Top 10
17th best
beckons,
speed.
but I think it's going to be low down the top 10. No,
13th.
outside the top 10. 13th on a 56.73. It all kind of unravelled towards the end of the run, because up to the end of intermediate 3, she'd been in the top 10, and then time junked in the last 2 splits.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, that shows the strength of Adele's drive, because I think some of the speed is coming out of the track here. And Margot's run wasn't too bad, but when you're coming into those bottom corners, you can just see on the Omega clock, see the speed dropping away. It can be deceptive. Suddenly you think you're going to see a top 10 and boom, it drops back a few. But you saw the tap took her late into 9 there. All these little errors, just going to scrub away at time.
There are 5 more to go, and Kim Kalicki remains, of course, our leader.
Hey, she's not far from the top 10 though, Margo, only 500ths.
Illustrating just how close and competitive it all is. Riley Tejck with Jasmine Jones next to go for the USA. Riley did have a crash in training on Tuesday. Captain in the Marines, the San Diego-born driver, getting set, former softball player, Miss Military 2023, fascinating fact, 37. And she's got a children's book out in August, which is about bobsleighing and the Marines. But the first focus of attention is going to be on a good start time and a good push. Still, 5.48 is that time to beat, and it's a 5.73.
73 getaway. Now Riley, who again I've got to shout Tejck out. I screamed Tejck at her in the hotel. She's one of my favourite people on the circuit. She's one of the nicest people on the circuit. She's super grateful to be here. She's just so happy to be racing and competing. She's had a bit of trouble with the finish curve this week. Yeah. The victory roll, as we like to call it, through the finish line. So she'll be wanting to avoid that. But so far, she's keeping herself honest in this top half of the track.
18th off the start, 16th in the first split, down to 18th at the end of the second. So it's yo-yoing a little bit, but maybe there's a hint of caution, as you say. She has had these dramas in training.
Yeah, and late hit there, pushes her late into 9. Can she thread? Woo! Come on, Riley, keep it. Little wild into 11, 12 and 13. Jazzy will be feeling that in the back.
So now towards the Zeal curve, and this is where if it's going to go wrong, it has been going wrong, but it looks
She's a bit
okay
wavy.
this time.
She's done it again. Oh, Riley. They're okay, they're okay.
She takes the finish on a 57.27, but yet again, I'm afraid, poor old Riley Tejck on her side, and not the way she wanted to finish the run.
And the track workers in place to stop the sled from going backwards. Great job, guys. Well, she nearly came to a stop at the switch there, so it was actually, as far as timed victory rolls go, Riley, she's going to be really annoyed with herself. But other than that, there were a lot of positives in that run. They look okay.
And what sort of speed are you pulling at that point?
Oh, for these guys at the bottom, you know, it's like 130, 131 kilometers per hour, so they are flying. She was late off 9, but she kept it. See how she just rode down corner 10. You want to be bypassing corner 10. Skidding all the way down. It's quite hectic, quite wild, quite loose down here. Big tap before 13. So all that's killing speed, but she was too wavy.
Yeah.
Corner 14, centrifugal force at the end, pushed her back up, and she's just flopped back out there. And the runners are taking some dings up the wall there. I've had a crash here as well, courtesy of my lovely friend Brad Hall. And it's not fun up the braking curve because it's bumpy, you know, brakes are going up there. Yeah. So, but Jazzy as well in the back there, again, one of the good ones.
Big
possibly in the running for funniest person on the circuit, after me, obviously.
Yes. And lots of support for the Americans. Track hold, of course, just whilst everything is sorted. And that's going to leave us with 4 more sleds to go in this first heat. Second heat coming up at 4:30 local time. Heats 3 and 4 tomorrow, along with heats 1 and 2 for the 4-man Bob. And the next one to go is going to be Georgetta Popescu, another of the Romanians, with the Dresden sled. Started back in 2016, 25th in Monobob last week. Second appearance in the World Championships, 18th last year, but has gone pretty well at Winterberg in the past in women's competitions. So as soon as the indication is given, then the Romanians will be good to go. Medea Musaleta on her World Championships debut is going to be the brake woman.
Yeah, she's an interesting one as well, Popescu. She was, I think, the Youth Olympic champion, I believe. You know, she's got a decent background in driving. She's, you know, decent background, Youth Olympic champion. She certainly knows what she's doing. She had a couple of spills this week as well, I think, or at least one. And you know, it is a tricky track. It catches people out, catches experienced athletes out. You know, it gets so fast outside of corner 9. As I said, as a brakeman, when you're sat in the back of that sled, you're basically, when you feel yourself go around corner 0, as long as nothing's gone too wrong, then you're just sitting there, chilling, having a cup of tea. Nothing really is going on. It can be a bit bumpy, but nothing's really happening. And then suddenly, whack, there's corner 9, and you just feel, you hear the wind just picking up, and you just hang on for dear life and hope that they don't park you into the finish corner, I suppose. But no, it's a great track to be at, and as you can see the crowds down the bottom, the crowds are great as well. Good fun.
And in fact, the whole town comes alive, doesn't it? Because everywhere you go around Winterberg, you know that there's something happening. You've got the market in the middle of the town, and that's where the medal ceremonies are. So at the end of tomorrow, the end of Sunday for the women and for the men's competitions, it's not medals here, it is in town. Everybody goes along and joins in. Almost every shop has something in the window to tell you that the World Championships are in town. It's great for tourism. It's great for the local economy. It's great for the area. And the focal point seems to be the Irish pub, which was absolutely rammed yet again last night.
Oh, as it should be.
As it always is, yeah.
I mean, it's also good for athlete egos, David, because I was having lunch in a
got an
restaurant
ego?
earlier. Yeah, I know, personal. But sitting having lunch earlier, and the big screen came up with the World Champs montage, and obviously I'm sitting there with steak in my mouth, and it's like, oh, it's me, you know, all cheering on the screen and everything. It's, you know, we don't, in this sport, it is an amazing, wonderful sport full of brave, powerful, talented athletes, and I adore it, and I adore the community and the people involved with it, and it needs more coverage. People need to understand and see the sport more. They need to see the amazing racing. They need to see the technological advances. They need to see it's not an every 4 years Cool Runnings parody sport. It's for people who take their craft seriously, who spend long months away from home, away from families, chasing their dreams in a sport that gives a lot of us, including myself, a second home. You know, with my sprint career was struggling, when I was struggling with injuries and stuff like that. You know, bridging the gap from 10.2 for the 100 metres to 10 flat is a lot more difficult than running, 11 flat to 10.8. It's a really hard, fine margin. And Bobsleigh gave me another home. It's given me everything for my career, and it's giving these athletes the same thing. And so it's something we need to do more to get out there. And these young athletes as well, we need to shout about them more.
Sure. Once people start to realise exactly how much effort goes into making the most aerodynamic sled, what you do with the runners, because they're far more rounded than perhaps people anticipate. It's not like a blade as such. There's so much more in the sport than on face value. It's not just a sled going from top of the hill to the bottom.
Definitely. I mean, it truly is Formula One on ice. There are whole teams of people involved in these situations, but it's such a pure form of racing. It's relatively in air quotes, simple engineering in the sled. It's accelerated by powered by humans rather, and accelerated by gravity. It's such pure racing. And let's see how the young youth Olympic champion gets on.
Another great thing, these are all accessible. There's nowhere to hide up at the top, and of course, great community as well. So we're back running. Georgetta Popescu then jumps on board as the driver. Andrea Greku as the brake woman, and 5.91
out of corner zero. Yeah, it's a little squirrely out of the start grooves there. Not great around corner zero. It's not great for velocity. And the getaway in 91. These are young athletes. This is a heavy sled, so that's all going to be part of their development over the next few years, where they're going to need to do their best to improve that. But this is all about the drive now for Georgetta.
So she's trying to piece this together, going down the hill, and outside the top 20 at the moment, over a second lost already. So it's going to be mileage, it's going to be experience, lessons learned. They can go away and assess all of this post-run, but I don't think it's going to put her into the top 20, looking at the evidence thus far. So Georgetta Popescu.
Speed.
Yeah.
So she gets round the lower labyrinth, 12, 13. Oh, a little while, watch out here. There we go. She keeps under control. It's 20th best speed. Does she have enough in the tank? No.
Rattles up the wall 21st.
Outside, yeah. So
57.76. So it was, if you like, consistent all the way down. She wasn't quite able to find the time to nudge her into the top 20.
No, and that's a bit. She would have had a deficiency in velocity in the start anyway, from being, she's 4/10 back from the top starters, but that just wasn't going to be converting after they slipped out the start grooves as well. So any velocity they had, they're going to be heavily damaged and impacted. But for a lot of these guys down the tail end of the field here, with Jolo coming next, Hazelwater and Sarah Blizzard, they're all going to be looking to get in the top 20. That would be the massive result this World Championship. So after Heat 3, the top 20 will get the final, the Heat 4 and everything, and that's what they'll all be battling for. And that's what I love about bobsleigh as well. There's races within races all the way down, at different levels, different experiences, and we're seeing that here with the young Romanians.
And at the finish there, a very appreciative crowd applauding everybody, as Kim Kalicki has been watching all of this and ever more secure in the lead, ahead of Lisa Buckwitz, Lara Nolte, Kaysha Love, Bree Walker and Elana Myers-Taylor, perhaps surprisingly only 6th, as Lauren Jolo gets away. Now, she's had, with respect, a rotten time over the last few days. Crashes in Monobob, crashes in training for the two women. Fingers crossed that the Dutch driver gets down the hill okay here. 5.83 off the start, better than some.
5.83, again, not too bad. New athletes, she was not too bad out of the start grooves, around corner zero, not ideal lines. But let's see how she gets on at the top here. So it's a real example of driving expertise in this top track, because it's all about minimising mistakes, as we've said. So even with the slightly slower start, slower velocities, can they hold nice lines? Can they minimise mistakes in the exits and the entrances?
22nd best speed, way up the wall, tap, 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 puts a wide at the next corner, another tap, and it's all unravelling towards the end of the run, and this has been the part of the course that's caught her out before. Keep everything crossed as she heads towards the Ziel Curve in a moment, because if it's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong in the next couple of corners, and there's another tap and another rattle.
Okay, she's not too wavy round the finish. She's going to come up, but she should be safe. There we go.
She's done it. 22nd fastest, 58.09, but I think she'll be pleased to have had a relatively solid run down the hill with no major dramas. Yeah, okay, a few taps, but it could have been a lot worse.
Absolutely, and you know, I think after such a tough week, getting down will be a victory as well. Yeah. And you know, because that adds to it's not just, you know, nerves for you know, getting down and finishing the track and stuff like that. You know, it's still a world championships. It's still the biggest event that you've competed in, and when you've got so much at stake and you've got a lot of responsibility when you've got another person in the back, you know. We're often referred to as the sacks of potatoes in the back, but we know we are human beings, the brake athletes.
You have feelings.
And we do have feelings, yeah, and she would have felt that as well. But yeah, for a number of reasons, you know, this would have been a nerve-wracking affair for Lauren, and she's young, and you know, getting down, finishing her heats, that's what she's going to want here, and consistent improvement. She'll go and look over this with her coaches and see where she can make improvements in the driving, and that'll be what to take forward. At
one point of the last few days, there was a question mark over whether she was even going to be taking part. She'd had yet another crash and a quick trip to hospital, and there was a question mark, but she's brave, she's come back, and we're into our final two crews then. Lea Haslauer and Linda Brown next to go, the penultimate in this first heat. And Lea Haslauer only began in 2021 as bobsleigh competitor, former athlete. Debut in the World Championships for two women, but 24th last weekend in Monobob. Has done junior Monobob as well. Second here in the Under-23 Junior European Championships. And Linda Brown, a regular in the Europe Cup, but her World Championship debut. They are going to be our penultimate pair to get away now.
And they're off. So obviously a little rearranging of her hand. Those are, again, minor inexperienced things, changes. You're taking pressure off the sled. It's normally the brakemen you'll see as they move the sled round after the hit that will lose pressure on the handle. So minor things there, but that will all improve their start. But this is great. As one of the, you know, unfortunately, I'm now, I suppose I'll be classed as a veteran, which makes me just horrifying. But for me, it's great to see these young athletes coming through from nations, you know, Austria, storied nations, you know, Benny Meyer, Marcus Treichel, like, they're amazing athletes coming out of them. And Katy Beierl is somebody that Lea will probably look up to, is another excellent driver. Katy's won World Cup overall medals. You know, she's a hell of an athlete. And Austria has its own track, you know. Lea could be really the next big star of that country. We could be witnessing the birth of a star. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's tempting to think that everybody in a World Championship has already peaked in terms of their ability, and they're at the top. They're not. They're still improving, still developing, still learning, still getting better.
Push late there. This is wavy. Watch for the finish curve.
It was scrappy, and it was a crash at the end. 57.78 is the time.
Oh, and their shoulders are just a little bit into the wall there. They'd have felt that. You can see how bumpy it is. That's not... It's, as we'd say, just a braking corner crash. It isn't fun. I've experienced that up the outrun. It's so bumpy, and yeah.
Well, it's not the slowest, even with the crash at the end. Faster than Lauren Jolo, the Dutch girl that had gone before. Sarah Blizzard, the Australian, is going to be the last one to go, but there'll be a track hold just to make sure that everybody is okay, just to check the track. And no doubt there'll be a big cheer and a big round of applause for Lea Haslauer and Linda Brown when they walk through that finish area, because the fans here will know exactly what that must have felt like and be appreciative of their efforts. But it was a bit scrappy many corners before, wasn't it?
Yeah, we could just see a little while, some late exits, flop, whack. You know, these are all just inexperienced lines, but you can see the wave. As soon as I saw that wave drop down, I was like, okay, she's going to be pushed up, she's going to come down again, and then she's going to be pushed up again. And so you can just see that bearing out there. So again, she'll have to look at that with her coaches. Oh, and there's a back into the wall. So I hope we get a shot next of the girls up and about and being okay, because that's a very... She's okay, yeah. She hit herself quite hard there. Hopefully she's all right.
And of course, on the reversal of the rankings for the second run, there's not that much time to sort of think about it, compute.
Thumbs up, excellent.
Your head round. Yeah, thumbs up. Track hold as we expected. And you can hear the applause in the background from the crowd.
You know what? I'd actually say that the girls in bobsleigh are way tougher than the men. Some of these girls are tough as nails. I remember a few years ago in La Plan, the Italians were having a horrible day at training and they were crashing. And the brake women, they were just getting in again. You know, if we get crashed, I'll say, right, Brad, I'm going home, going to bed, I'm going to have a cup of soup, and I'm going to put an ice pack on my back. The irony, put an ice pack on your back after smacking into an ice
There's plenty
wall,
of it, yeah.
But,
So 1 to go.
There's Desi and Sarah getting ready. Now, this is also an interesting thing to watch because it's and for these girls, these are new to the Australian program. Sarah was a brakewoman for Bree Walker. Desi's brand new. You know, how you control yourself, how you control the nerves. You know, you think you're getting ready to get on the block, to push, you get yourself in the zone, suddenly there's a track hold. What do? How do you stay warm?
And stay focused as well.
Absolutely.
More warm-up exercises being done. And then the sled will be brought forward, put into the groove. Sarah Blizzard joined that national team in 2019, former sprinter. Desi Johnson, the brakewoman, former 4x100 metre relay athlete. Sarah, 23rd in Monobob last week, debut in the two-woman World Championships for this Australian with a BSc in sport and exercise science. She's got her own online nutrition business as well, so there's more to Sarah than just bobsledding.
Absolutely, and what's amazing about these girls, it's been the same for us as when we were in the years of unfundedness. You know, these girls are doing it self-funded. They're working through the summer. They're like we're like bobsleigh squirrels. You know, we're like making all our food, gathering all our nuts for the winter, and then going away and enjoying the fruits, hopefully.
But if you're a European, you can nip home between races. If you're from Australia on the other side of the world, there's the added cost of having to exist for X months of the year on a different continent.
Well, for the continental Europeans, yes, they can nip home. But for the Brits, I say ha ha ha. The British bobsleigh has never allowed us to nip home, or you would have to at your own expense, I suppose. But
geographically, you could. Let's put it.
Geographically, we technically could, yes,
Yeah.
I suppose. But it's not an offer that's ever been taken up, sadly. Yeah, it's a long time away from home, and yes, for the Aussies, for sure, they spent a long time. And well, Bree, for a long time, actually lived in Germany.
Yeah.
You know, she based herself out here, and which was a good move for her for a while because it meant that she was fully immersed in the sport, fully immersed with her coach, and yeah, let's see how Sarah gets on.
So the last one of Heat 1, Desi Johnson, the brakewoman, Sarah Blizzard as the driver. That countdown of the minute begins. Remember, it's a 65-metre area. The clock starts at 15 metres, so you're timed for the remaining 50. And let's see what that start time is going to be.
Here they go.
Australia, Sarah Blizzard leaps on board. Behind is Desi Johnson. 5.48 remains the best at the start, and a 5.79 is what they achieve, and that is better than the last handful.
Yep, 79 getaways, not a bad getaway from Sarah at all. These are both good athletes in the sled here, but still very new to the sport. Or certainly Desi is brand new to pushing the back of the sled, and it takes time. For the girls, there's a comparative weight disadvantage for them. They need to be much stronger than they need to be fast, whereas the men tend to need to be much faster than they are strong, if that makes sense. It's a bigger weight comparatively for them, so it's a lot to get used to. And for Sarah, she's making such good strides.
Top 20 beckons here, 20th at the 3 splits.
Got pushed away a little bit, she gets in 9. Woo, a little late through there, little skiddy. Again, minor errors. Through the labyrinth safely, she is. And nicely onto the finish curve. 21st speed, has she got enough in the tank?
See, 21st
Go on, Sarah.
times. Beckons, it is 21st on a 57.36. So 21st for Sarah Blizzard to round out Heat 1 in the two women world champions.
And let me tell you, she will absolutely fancy a top 20 finisher, David, because she's gone last, so she's been on technically, air quote, the worst ice, and she's only 700ths from the Belgian Kelly. So, hey, this is like I said, we've got a race in different pockets of the leaderboard here. We've got real races on our hands, and for Sarah, a top 20 would be a massive achievement.
Absolutely right. That was a little bit high, but she survived that.
Yeah, so you can see a little bit late off there. Takes a bit of corner 10, which pushes her along, skids out the back of her sled a little bit. All little areas that are just going to be scrubbing time away. But hey, I think a great job, Sarah. I think her mum Sue messaging me last week saying how proud she is of her. She's doing a great job, making everyone very proud back home.
So, Kim Kalicki, it is then who is the fastest after Heat 1, 55.89. Being the target time for everybody else from here on in. But of course, you start to aggregate the times as you go through, and Heat 2 is going to come up in around about an hour and a half's time. So, Kim Kalicki, the fastest by just 100th of a second. She was the second one to go with Leonie Fiebig And fastest time, this is how we look, with Kim Kalicki then ahead of Lisa Buckwitz and Lara Nolte third, fourth, Kaysha Love ahead of Bree Walker, Elana Myers-Taylor sixth, and she'll be a bit disappointed with that, I suspect. Adele Nicolls seventh is one of the best news stories of the day thus far, and it's Katy Beierl eighth. The top 10 rounded out by Cynthia Appia ninth, and Andrea Greku 10th equal with Melanie Hasler, Bianca Ribi 12th, then Margo Boch 13th, Ching Ying 14th, Veski 15th, and Deborah Annen 16th, ahead of Melissa Lotholz, Victoria Chenanska, Rally Tejck ahead of Kelly Van Petegem for 20th, Sarah Blizzard 21st, ahead of Georgetta Popescu, Lea Haslauer and Lauren Jolo rounding out the order of the 24. So great stuff to start the two-woman competition, and it is going to be 4:30 local time when we have Heat 2. Join us for that if you can, because it's promising to be a fascinating competition. For now, from Greg Hackett and David Anderson, thanks for your company. We'll see you at 4:30 for Heat 2.